This is a thermostat from the wall of my house. It keeps the temperature in the house in a comfortable range. If it gets too hot, the thermostat kicks in and turns on the air conditioner. If it gets too cold, the heater kicks in and heats it up to a comfortable range of somewhere between 70 and 72. So it's the same principle with our minds and our mental capacity and our ability to produce on a consistent basis so that we live a comfortable lifestyle of abundance. The key thing is we need to reset our thermostat into the comfortable range, into successful range, into the prosperity range, into having abundance every single week, every single paycheck. We have more coming in than going out. And we have to set that thermostat in that comfortable range. And the way to do that is by setting goals, having the proper self-talk, and having that emotional umption and push to keep yourself constantly, week in and week out, in the level of prosperity so you have enough money left over at the end of the month that you're socking money away every month. The goal is to put a little bit aside, a little bit aside, a little bit aside. Don't touch it until it gets to a point where you can actually live off the interest. Then at that point, like we talked about before on other videos, you can go to work because you want to, not because you have to. So what happens? If somebody gets if somebody gets too prosperous for their thermostat setting in their brains, what happens is they start initiating self-sabotaging behavior. They feel like they've made too much, and they're used to this roller coaster cycle of having enough and then fighting and struggling and having enough and fighting and struggling. We never ever have to do that if we set our thermostat into the comfortable range. But what happens if somebody gets above their thermostat of comfort financially? They do things to sabotage and force themselves back down to the place where they have set their mental thermostat. They start developing a nasty attitude, procrastination. Some people even get into self-harm like self-medication, comfort eating, self-injury. Or some people get almost don't want their problem solved because they're so addicted to the adrenaline rush of emotional turmoil. Well, that silliness doesn't have to be a part of our lives anymore. So what do? Here's the solution to resetting that emotional thermostat so that we're constantly living a lifestyle of abundance. The days of lack are done. They're over. They will never again happen in your life. You live each week from peak to peak to peak to peak in a comfortable range because you are deep down in your gut. You have the gumption because you are going to take charge. You're going to take the bull by the horns and you're going to force it in the way you want it to go financially. You're going to live a constant life of abundance. And the key thing is, number one, we set goals. How much do you want to earn this year? How much do you want to earn this month? How much do you want to earn 2 weeks? How much do you want to earn in 1 week? And how much do you have to produce each day and then each hour in order to accomplish those goals? And keep in mind, like we've said before in other videos, we don't do what we should. We do what we have determined in a deep down gut level that we must. It's okay. You are the kind of person that can go from peak to peak to peak to peak. You never have to go down to that uncomfortable valley, ever. And you don't have to get into this self-sabotage nonsense that happens to so many people when they start getting too high financially for their preset comfortable range. So it's time to blow the roof off. There's no limit for you. You deserve to live a constant life of abundance where you're taking care of yourself and your loved ones like you want to. You don't ever, ever, ever have to go back to that lack nonsense again. That's rooted out of your brain, never again, and that's something you have to resolve at a gut level. So one is set goals, how much you want to earn. Two, you break it down to little pieces of how much you're going to do and what action that you need to take. The self-talk has to be constantly, I live a prosperous lifestyle. That's me. That's who I am. I have abundance every month. I live in excess. Keep in mind, the person who has the nasty low thermostat level that self-sabotages when they get too high, it got there from self-talk. It got there from the words that they allowed their brains to speak to themselves. And what do you do to get rid of that? First of all, you root out that garbage that is setting your thermostat too low. Get rid of it and recognize it when it comes and root it out as soon as it comes in, and then plant the seed. Constantly plant the seed. I am prosperous. I live a life of abundance. I go from peak to peak in my life. I'm constantly in a comfortable state of abundance financially. I deserve it. I'm a good person. I do right. I work hard, and I do what it takes to make it happen day in and day out. I don't let down, except for on the weekends I go play, because I can have a lot more fun if I'm living a life of abundance. And then third, so when we set goals, we control our self-talk, and we also add the emotion, because the emotion is what drives that feeling in our heart and sets that thermostat at new levels. So you emotionally and psychologically believe it, that you're going to achieve what you set out to achieve, and you make it a must. You don't allow, no matter what it takes or how much pain that you have to go through to get there, it's the pleasure of achieving from week to week to week is worth it. Just do what it takes, set the goal, and make it happen. So let's go ahead and live a life of abundance, live a life of prosperity, really 100% believe emotionally that you can achieve it, and you will. Make it a great year.